Dude,
Great evenings and welcome to my late chat
sorry
show.
to kind of cut you off. That is a sick intro. How have you done that?
Do you like my
How
intro?
how have you freaking done? I'm asking a serious question because I want to know. I'm about to swipe all the text off right now and just go crazy.
Well, it's just After Effects. Just found the template on Video Hive, and then I got someone to increase the timing from 15 seconds to 30 seconds, or is it 10 seconds to 30 seconds?
So do you just play that as like a separate file in StreamYard?
Yeah, it's just a video clip file.
Nice.
Now,
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that with StreamYard.
welcome Tega Diegbe.
Wow, sorry, I just hijacked the damn thing. It's like, oh, you have an intro to do? Not today.
I didn't even get to introduce you on because you were so curious about the question, the show reel.
I can't help it, man. That's how I am. I really can't help it.
Pleasure to have you.
I'm gonna adjust this so that I'm looking more directly at you guys and it doesn't look like I'm looking down. There we go. It's mildly better.
Oh, welcome, Taker, to my live chat show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I bet that's the most interesting start to the show you've ever had.
Well, for those that have listened to the podcast would know already. You talk about systems and processes.
Yep.
And we geeked out a lot over there about your systems and processes and ideas that you stemmed from that podcast into implementing a lot of other things afterwards.
Yep.
So, what would you like to get into? Life and business, bro.
Well, life and business. How's life? How are things with you, Jono?
Life has been good for me. I mean, roof over my head. Business is starting to become busier, which is good.
Good. How's lockdown treating you?
Lockdown's all right for me. I mean, this lifestyle hasn't changed. It's been my lifestyle the last 20 years or so it's not changed. Like, this is nothing new to me at all.
Yeah, everybody's like lockdown 2.0. I'm like, oh, you mean Q4, where we just do what we did in Q1, 2, and 3. Excellent. Cool. I mean, for me, I'm used to it now, but the first lockdown was a real shock to the system, especially whenever I couldn't go to the gym.
Yeah, that shocked me.
Yeah, for some weird reason, I hate working out in the house. I have the equipment in the next room, but I dislike working out in the house for some weird reason. I don't go as hard as I think I can go. I become a whiny little so-and-so, just complaining. Everything takes twice as long just because I feel like putting on my gym gear, filling up my water bottle, tossing it in my gym bag, putting my shoes on and walking to the gym has become part of the process of going to the gym. So whenever all I do is just change clothes and I go into the spare room, it doesn't feel like going to the gym. Like,
well, you're still at home.
like essentially, I am still home. I'm just doing the workout over Zoom. It was fun.
No separation.
It was fun when it started, but after a while, it's like, yeah, I don't like this. I have to do it. I'm gonna do it, but I don't like it.
It's the environment separation I found, like mentally, just having that disconnect from home and gym. Like, gym is just like a mind sanctuary and get it over and done, get it and done. But when you're at home, you're like, you're just
yeah. Let me just scroll my phone. Let me just look on Facebook. It's like, oh, I wonder what my next door neighbor is doing. Like, next door neighbor, I have no business or relationship with, but because I'm just there, in the room where I work out, the window's just there. So the laptop sits on the table just over the window, and I'm just looking out the window. So somebody walks there, or the postman walks by, and I just get distracted. Like, oh, have I got any post today? God damn it, I haven't got a post. I was hoping I had posts so I could actually distract myself from this workout. Why am I trying to distract myself from my work? Shut up, Taker. Back to your work. Back to your work. That's the routine every single time. Every single time. If we had my trainer James on here, he would actually confirm that.
Yeah, but yeah, this lockdown hasn't changed my lifestyle. I mean, the other thing that we, can't go out and eat restaurants and go on dates with my fiance. I think not much has really changed, like the whole
I'm not.
routine wise.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm low key happy about that because I was becoming chubby. I was becoming a chubby little so and so.
Or eating out.
Oh my god! Like it's not just eating out as well. Freaking Deliveroo and everything. The mental will that it takes for me not to just get a Just Eat or Deliveroo every day, because it's like it's a slippery slope. There's a few years ago whereby like I was I wasn't in the best place like physically or mentally, so I didn't really want to do anything to exert myself too much. So hungry, what's up, Just Eat? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. I haven't eaten my evening meal. What's up, Deliveroo? My accountant will confirm this. They were doing my accounts and they were looking through. And there's like a 6 month period where every day, Just Eat, Deliveroo, Just Eat, Deliveroo. Like that was actually the thing that kind of shocked me. Like, yo, you need to chill out. Like,
Wow.
not only are you getting chubby, you're just throwing all this. Well, it's not really throwing money away because you're feeding yourself, but that money could have been better spent or better invested if you want to use the lingo of the market space we're both operating.
Well, it is easy when you're living by yourself as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's easier to get into that trap. Just like, what's for dinner? Let's order it something else.
What's for dinner? Whatever you want, son. Whatever you want, so long as it's on Just Eat or Deliveroo.
uh, it's awesome. So, bro, have you always been so zen?
uh,
It must be a period where you were just that angry guy, angry child.
I
I
wouldn't say that.
was.
I
I
wouldn't
was
say. I
like,
wouldn't say I was angry. Like there would have been times where I didn't have control of my emotions, but I wouldn't say that I was overly angry. Growing up, I was more the class clown. I was
interesting.
quite. I don't know if I would say I was popular. I was the only black kid in my class. My sister and I were the only black kids in school.
I was the only Chinese kid in my school.
Yeah, so there was a lot of curiosity and intrigue. Obviously, there's some negative stuff that comes with that as well, but
Mhm.
I didn't really focus on that. But the curiosity and intrigue um, kind of meant I made friends quite easily, and because I made friends quite easily, I was part of like a few different cliques when I was younger, and to some degree today. I was quite athletic, so the guys that played sports like American style lingo, the jocks, I got on with them. The nerds, I got on with them just because I'm infinitely curious and I want to know things. So yeah, I don't not. I was never angry. As far as like the whole Zen thing, I think that really started after I lost my mom 10 years ago now. Um, After I lost my mom, I was having a weird to say this, but I was having a come to Jesus moment with myself because there were so many things I wanted to do with my mom that we
Mm.
never got the chance to do. And after we lost her, I was just sitting down thinking on the situation and assessing everything that I hadn't done, and then something just like clicked in my head. Um, and the thing that clicked was understanding that ultimately I'm in control of my life. Good things, bad things, whatever happens, I'm in control of my life. Life goes a heck of a lot easier if you accept what is instead of trying to fight what is. It goes a heck of a lot easier if you accept what is. Yes, there are going to be things that happen that annoy you, but if you can look at it for what it is, it's like, yo, like in 5 hours, this is probably not going to matter. So why am I getting pissed off about it? Um, which is kind of where I fell into the well of stoicism, right? Because it's a case of I think ultimately for me, what stoicism is realizing that there's always going to be like two things in life. There're going to be things you can control and things you can't control. If you can't control stuff, why are you going to let it annoy you? And if you can't control stuff, well, yes, it can annoy you. You can wallow in your self pity thing for as long as you want, as long as you then get up and do something, because you can't be mad that something's annoying you and then not do something to change it. So, yeah,
Interesting.
I'm an interesting kind of guy.
Yeah. Really? I mean, yeah, should probably just. I think that self-awareness that comes with it. Like,
What is self-awareness?
what is self-awareness? That's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah,
How do you define self-awareness, bro?
for me,
Mm.
I would say it's like it's the trust in myself that I have the ability to solve whatever problem comes my way, regardless of how I solve it, whether I solve it myself, whether I ask for help, whether I pay someone else to do it completely. I have the ability to solve whatever problem comes my way. And if I have that understanding, problems are not things to be scared of. Right? Difficult discussions or difficult conversations are not things to be scared of. That's how I interpret it. But I asked you that question
My
because sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's
asked you
right.
that question because like in society today, there's a whole bunch of people running around using words not only in the wrong context, but I feel like people are using words they don't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand the just to say they don't understand the power of words seems a little bit wrong, seems a little bit holier than thou. But maybe implication is what I'm trying to say. They don't understand the implication of what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is why I asked you, what is self awareness? Because a lot
Self.
of people will say that, oh, I'm self aware or I'm trying to become more self aware. But it's not an idea that they've actually sat down and figured out for themselves. It's an idea that somebody has told them what is, and they've kind of just latched onto that and they haven't really done any exploration for themselves to figure out what that means to them.
Self-awareness for me is about knowing and being aware of my self-sabotaging behaviors. So whenever I get angry, when I get frustrated, when I get upset, when I get depressed, like that type of emotional and thoughts and feelings, that kind of self-awareness for me. And the ability to just be aware of what's going on, what's driving my behaviors.
So, from what you're saying, that sounds a lot like emotional intelligence as opposed to self awareness. Because there's this entire other field of like, no, not like, there's this entire other field of things that exist outside of what you know and what you've experienced, where self awareness means something completely different.
Mm.
So in the AI field or in the machine learning field, you could say that the ultimate goal that they're trying to chase there is like, I don't know if anybody's actively chasing it, but like AI that is self aware. It knows it's an AI and it operates that way. This is what Terminator was about. Like it freaks out a lot of people, but that's an example of what I mean when I say self awareness. In that regard, the AI is aware that it's not a human being, but it becomes sentient.
Mm-hmm.
But what the heck does that mean? Sorry, going down a rabbit hole here. This is kind of stuff I think about
This
when
is
I'm not
this
trying to
is
design funnels or
but
do work or
this is
hire
what we
virtual assistants.
but that's where we need to go, down the rabbit hole. I mean, like, I can see where that comes from. The emotional intelligence comes into it because there is. Does it work in hand? Would you say?
My view, right, is that everything can be everything can have a symbiotic relationship
Mm-hmm.
if you go deep enough, right? So yeah, self-awareness and emotional intelligence can work hand in hand, but you need to figure it out for you. I can't say, well, I could say what I think it is, but you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you were just to latch onto what I say about how that can be a symbiotic thing. The way that I don't really talk about this, but the way that I kind of tend to do things, right, is I look for a common thread between all the different things. So take work, for example. Thank you, by the way, for sending me that link on like a full stack marketer. I think I finally found the word to actually describe myself. But when it comes to work in business, right? Business is this machine, if you will, that is made up of several different parts. And people choose to specialize on one part of the machine. And that's cool, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But where I get kind of disillusioned with all of that stuff is whenever people try to sell their thing as the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need funnels, or you need to write good ad copy, or you need to be able to have like mad customer research skills, or you need to run ads, otherwise you're not a business. It's like, oh, you need to have a podcast, or you need to do video. When I was young, when I was getting into this whole business game, I was hearing that so much. And then the little rebel in me is like, yeah, forget all that. We're going to do everything. Right? But as I got older, I realized you can't do everything. You can know a lot about a whole bunch of stuff, but there's no way that you'll be able to do everything. And that kind of figured into like what I'm doing now. I want to do everything, but I know I can't do everything. If I can do everything, people will pay me to do everything. So what do I need to know how to do? It puts me in the best position to help people do everything. I figured out for me, it was built learning how to hire reliable people, right? Once those people are hired, the next question then becomes, right, I don't want to do everything. I have a team of people. How do I efficiently communicate with them or tell them what needs to be done so they can do it to a level that I can do it at without them being me, without them having my experiences, which is where systems and processes came in. You marry those two together, there's not much else that you can't do, right? I'm of the mind that, with the exception of a few things, like I got myself in hot water the last time I went down this rabbit hole. I'm of the mind that if there's a service to be delivered, I can learn. I don't need to be an expert at it. I can learn to almost like an intermediate level to understand what needs to happen. And then I can just bring someone else to do it. That person then goes from beginner to intermediate to expert. But while they're going through that journey, I can communicate clearly with them what I need them to do. Right. So, for example, email marketing. I'm not a good copywriter, but I understand strategy and what we're trying to say. And I can read an email and judge if it's good or not. So on that regard, I can train someone what to do. Like I don't even need to train them. I just get myself onto like Udemy, or Udemy is a little bit of a sore spot, but find somebody who's a good copywriter. Check out if they have like an information product on what to do and how to do it. If they don't, if they do hourly consults, just get them on the phone. Yo, I have a team. We're trying to figure out email marketing. Can I pay for an hour of your time? I can use that as a training resource for my team. Anybody who I've approached like that, the answer has always been yes. Nobody's ever said no. Right? I don't think I've ever gotten a no. I don't think so. But that's kind of what I mean when I say everything is symbiotic. It's like, yeah, you can choose what you want to focus on. If you're going to focus on that, I'm the type of person that get bored real easily. If I'm gonna focus on that, I know like 6 months down the line, I'm gonna get bored by it. But I've just spent 6 months like learning. Why don't I build something that allows me to leverage that 6 months for as long as I can, instead of just chucking it in the bin? The same thing happens in life. You you can find the red thread that connects everything, like if you look deep enough, which then leads us nicely back to the idea of self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jono, you did it again. You just said some words and shut up and let me talk. You did that to me on your podcast, you sneaky so and so.
Into the rabbit hole.
But yeah, that is my view on that. Have we got much? Have we got many people watching at the minute?
Got a few people.
Cool. What's up, people? Say hi.
Any
My
questions
name's
for Tega?
My name's Tega. Oh, any questions for? Okay, yeah. Let's go down that route. Any questions for Tega?
Any questions for Tega about businesses or systems or life in general? But you mentioned full stack.
Tega's about to be a life coach. No.
You mentioned full stack marketer or full stack digital marketer, which for some people probably aren't aware of that term. I think I don't even know how I came across it because, like you, digital marketing and doing all sorts in the digital realm and just calling ourselves like a generalist was like, still doesn't really sit well. So I kept searching, and then somehow I found this article. I was just like, what is someone that knows a bit about paid ads, a bit about design, a bit about email marketing, a bit about systems, a bit about implementation, all the digital stuff. And I was just like, there must be something, right? And I came across this article that I sent you, which was full stack digital marketer.
I was reading. I'm like, yo, this guy is talking about me to a T. I don't want to do just one thing. Because I don't want to do one thing. I have all of this experience. So yeah, like that is going to be my label going forward.
That's what I've labeled myself going forward. I was just like, this is me. Like, yeah, I'm aware of all the different systems, the different implementations, different strategies, and how they all work together. Because I've done each part to a good level, at least a level that I know how it works and how it fits into a business, right? And what results it can get a business. And I was just like, yeah, this is us. That's the first thing I thought. I just read this. I was like, I need to send this to Tega. Like immediate first person that came in my mind. I was just like, I need to send this to you.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Why? I suppose you've known me long enough to know that question of what do you do, Tega, is like the most awkward question for me to answer.
It's the same as when people ask me, right? Jono, what do you do? It's like digital marketing systems, all the digital stuff like ebooks creation, design, and After Effects, and everything online. So then, full stack marketing. I was like, makes sense since there's that. He was talking about the full stack developers, right?
Yeah, I never really thought about like. I suppose really it kind of goes back to what I was saying. Just because the label's there and the label describes me, I never thought about it in terms of marketing. Because like you say, it's always been like from the viewpoint of a full stack developer, like a full stack coder. And whenever they say that, you know what they're saying. You understand what they're saying. I just never shone that light. I'm like, oh, maybe I am a full stack marketer. But yeah.
It makes more sense, right?
It does. It does. But funny thing, right? Ordinarily, I wouldn't call myself a marketer.
I don't think I call myself a marketer.
Yeah.
But I do work in a digital realm of stuff. That's part of marketing. But like you, like copywriting isn't my thing. So do I still count as a marketer in a way?
The labels are a funny thing.
Yeah, I know.
The one that I've been struggling with lately is like, technically, I'm a podcaster. I don't feel like a podcaster.
Well, that's the thing. That's even my branding. I've changed myself. Marketing isn't even in it, right? It's digital leadership strategist.
Yeah.
It's like there's no. I don't even believe I do marketing. It's because I worked in marketing departments as a digital marketing executive. But I mostly did the technical implementations and systemizations. like how to, implement paid ads and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Interesting.
labels are a funny thing. Labels are a really, really funny thing.
Because normally I work with like a content team, and it's a content team that provides me the text for the websites, for the email marketing, for the paid ads, articles. It's like, I don't write that stuff, so do I still count as a marketer? Funny labels in companies, right?
It's labels in life.
Ah,
Why?
labels in life. It's about labels in life, bro.
Yeah, but like, yo,
The end's here.
business is life. Business, in
And
my
yeah,
opinion, business and life are the same thing. In my opinion, before somebody jumps on me and be like, no, they're not. They're different. In my opinion, I feel like they're the same thing. And the purpose, I understand the purpose that labels serve, right? So that there's an identifier for who are your people and who are not your people type stuff. But it really confuses me, man. It really confuses me.
I know you've never been a fan of labels and been boxed in a label.
I think, okay, so the boxing in is definitely one of the things that gets me. Just that boxing in. And the idea that once you're boxed in, that's it. That's why I fight the idea that I'm just a Facebook guy or I'm just a guy that does podcasts. I wouldn't even call myself a podcaster. To the public, I could be a podcaster. I have a podcast management agency. I help people with podcasts. I have my own podcast. So, like, for all intents and purposes, I am a podcaster. But
I
that
don't
doesn't
know.
speak to me.
I never thought you of. I never thought you of as a podcaster.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, like
To
I know
anybody,
you.
to
I know you
anybody
can
else.
do podcasting, but you're not. I wouldn't say first person that comes in mind would be like Tega podcasting.
Okay. So let me ask you then. What do you think of me as?
Technical implementer.
So even that is a label.
Yeah, I know, but like that's like, but again, it's systems and processes. Like the guy that gets things in order.
The guy that tries to get things in order.
Well,
Nobody's perfect.
no, but
I'm not going to be the first. I'm not going to be the one to sit here and say I'm perfect. I try to get things in order. I failed so many times that my failure has kind of paved the way for me to have an idea of what will work and what won't work. But
well, that's part of processes and systems, isn't it? It's always trial and error. Like there is no one size fit all. It's just what works at the time being, and sometimes you can improve it. Sometimes you just leave it as it is. If it's if it's not broken, don't fix it, kind of thing.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
What's up, Leon? I see Leon said hi.
Yeah, Leanne said hi. She's streaming from Twitch. She's probably gaming.
Yeah, she probably was going on a raid in Destiny. That's her game. Leon loves Destiny.
I never got into Destiny for some reason.
I didn't. It's like the same thing with the Division. I never got into Division. I played the Division 2. I actually liked the Division 2. But I didn't get into Division because yeah, Leon says I was right. She's just about to finish a new raid. Cool. I never got into the Division because at the time of release, this is when was this? Is it 2012? Gosh, so long ago, I don't know. But in that time, the PlayStation 4 was probably just like good luck in the raid, Leon. The PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were probably just about to peak as like current gen consoles. And by that point, everybody knew what they were capable of technically. But in E3 that year, Ubisoft showed everybody like this sick looking game. I think it was like they did like back to back years. The first year was Watch Dogs. They showed everybody Watch Dogs, and everybody like fell in love with that game. I think that was like That was the last game I fell in love with. Everybody fell in love with that game. The visuals were stunning. The mechanics all looked like really, really good. And you know the way in E3 they have like at the corner of the screen, not actual game footage. Everybody was scouring the screenshots and nobody saw that. Like, oh, it's gonna be so good. And then Watch Dogs came out and it was such a letdown. I mean, it was a good game, but everybody kind of felt like they'd been catfished by Ubisoft. And then just as they were getting over that, Ubisoft then showed the Division, and exactly the same thing happened. It's like the year after. Like it looked so good. They were showing all this like wild functionality, and it was like, "This is on the PS4." It's like, yeah. Everybody's like, "You're not gonna like catfish us again like you did with Watch Dogs." They're like, "No." Oh, we built a brand new engine. Was it the Snowfall engine? I think it was called. Everybody was excited about that. Then the Division came out. It's just such a letdown. And after that point, it was like, yeah, I'll just not watch E3. Well, I'll watch E3 and I'll take everything I see there with like a huge tablespoon of salt. If the game piques my interest, I'll buy it and try it out, and I will not get my hopes up that I'm about to play something that's going to change my life forever. So yeah, that's why I didn't get into those games. Destiny actually probably came out before then. I just didn't get the idea of like Destiny. The reason for that was because um, Destiny games like Destiny, The Division, they were these like massive online multiplayer games. I'm more of a single player guy, right? When I saw all the videos, I didn't get what the story was. I didn't get what you were trying to do with it. So just because of that, I didn't get it. So yeah, that's why I never got into Destiny or Destiny 2.
Yeah, I never got into Destiny because it was all online based. And like you, I always play offline, like single player offline adventures and
Yeah.
RPGs. Just like, no, it doesn't really pique my interest. Like even now, I only just got the Uncharted collection.
That's another game I never played. Not because of anything, but when Uncharted came out, I was a hardcore Xbox fanboy. So I was like, ain't no way I'm playing that.
The only reason I got it was because Tom Holland was featuring in a new film, right? So then I was like, maybe I should. I probably want to watch that, but before I watch that, let's play the game first and get a good storyline of what it's about.
Nah, they never do a good job of translating the story or the
Yeah,
lore of the story from the games to the big screen.
but I didn't want the movie to ruin it for me, so that I'm playing the game.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been good so far. I've completed all 3 so far. I'm on 4 now.
yeah, cool. Maybe I'll
So-
pick it up. Say bye bye to my PlayStation 4 by enjoying and completing a classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's why Uncharted was a good one. I was like, it felt like Tomb Raider, but obviously male version.
Yeah,
Like all
and
the puzzles and stuff.
the new Tomb Raider is also quite good as well. The new series of Tomb Raider. I can't remember what they're called. I've played them. You won't believe I've played them, but they're quite good.
Have you got them? Do you not play them?
I have got them. I've got them, played them, I've completed them, which is why I'm a little bit embarrassed. I can't remember the name. I just know that it was a Tomb Raider game.
I don't remember their names, but I do. I have completed them as well.
Yeah. So they mustn't have been that memorable. Just taking a trip down memory lane, playing Tomb Raider. Remember the days back in the PlayStation 1 days where you had where you played the game and you tricked Alfred. Is it Alfred? Whatever his name was, you tricked him and locked him in the freezer.
I'll remember that.
Oh, fun times. Fun
What games
times.
are you on now?
Hmm?
What games are you on now?
I kind of like. I've gotten a little bit into multiplayer. Like, what's in my console right now is Call of Duty Warzone. I play with a few friends. We all kind of work together. Well, we don't work together. We work in the same fields. One of them's like a property guy. The other guy owns an agency. One of them's like a semi-pro footballer. So, yeah, Warzone. The last single player game I played, not so much single player, but like story mode game, was actually Watch Dogs Legion. That was actually quite a good game. That's the most recent one I've completed. Completed the
Yeah, I
story
haven't
mode.
got the new Watchdog yet. That was the one that I was looking to get next.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Based in
it.
London, wasn't it?
It is in London. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to keep my mouth shut. I have this
Yeah, I know.
bad. I have
That's
this
as
bad
far as
habit
I
of.
know. It's based in London. That's
Yeah,
it.
I have this bad habit of spoiling stuff like TV shows, film, games. So I'm being more aware and just being like, yeah, it's a good game. I enjoyed it. I think you should play it. That's if you want to know more, I'm happy to say more, but it is a good game. I think you should play it.
Well, I had the initial ones as well, so it just makes sense to me. Just follow on.
Yeah, I had them as well. I got over the initial shock of the first Watch Dogs being a little bit. No, it wasn't. It's just I didn't like the whole catfish thing that Ubisoft did. I didn't like that. So that I kind of sat a little bit not so great with me. But once I got over it, I did enjoy playing the game. It was a good story as well. Like, it was a good story. The mechanics in the game were quite good. It's clunky at times, but quite good.
Do you get more inspired from the storylines from these games?
Bye, Leon. I
See
hope
you,
the raid
Leanne.
goes well. Um, I wouldn't say I play them to be inspired.
No, but like sometimes there's storylines that pop up, and you're like, oh, that's pretty good.
I kind of play them to lose myself.
Yeah,
Right,
that works too.
right. Disconnect from reality for a little bit. That's mostly why I play games. Um, game last game I played with like a good storyline was probably The Last of Us.
See, that's one series I've not played.
Oh, you should definitely check it out. Right,
Some
check it
reason
out.
I thought the Last of Us and Uncharted was like the same thing.
Hmm.
That's
No,
how unaware of those two I am.
no, I would say like you should definitely play The Last of Us. Like The Last of Us 2, the story in that was good as well. Uh, I like it, right? Because it's like you're taking part in a movie. Yes, it's all scripted, and yes, like there's not that much deviation you can do from like the path, but the story just sucks you in, just makes you want to keep going. I think I completed The Last of Us 2. I completed in like it's 24, like 24 to like 36 hours, I think. I liked it so much I actually played it again and just tried to do things differently than the first play around, but it's a really good game.
Are they not? I thought they were similar.
They're not. Well, I'm saying this having never played Uncharted, but I don't think they are similar. It might be made by the same studio, but
It's
I
making
don't.
the same studio. I'm just reading it now on
Yeah,
Wiki.
I don't think they're similar.
They said the development of The Last of Us began in 2009, soon after the release of Naughty Dog's previous game, Uncharted 2, Among Thieves. For the first time in the company's history, Naughty Dog split into two teams. Well, one team developed Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, the other half developed The Last of Us. The relationship between Joe and Ellie became the focus, and other elements developed around it. Okay. So
And
same
that
company.
relationship is why it was a good game. Oh, so good.
Interesting.
Takes you on an emotional roller coaster.
Fair dues. Where was this before we started talking about games, bro? Labels.
Labels, yes.
Labels. Why is labels bug you so much?
It's just it's that boxing in thing, right? I think it's the boxing in thing, and if you look past the boxing in thing, applying or accepting the label. I'm not saying everybody does this, but generally, accepting the label as what you are puts you into like just like a certain category of people in people's minds. Because whether we want to admit it or not, as human beings, we're judging you. Whether you know it or not, we're judging you. You say hi, the way you say hi, we judge you. The way you shake our hands, we judge you. The way you hug us, we judge you. The way you speak, we judge you. The sound of your voice, we judge you. Right? So, because of that, certain labels, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's because I get to see how people generally operate that have that label, and I then choose it. But I don't want that label. I don't know. It's just the boxing in thing, and then the whole judgment that you can't help. It's like what's that famous saying? It's like something like you never get a second chance to make a first impression or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and labels for me kind of like precede that first impression. Hi, I'm Tega. I'm a Facebook ad guy. What do people think about Facebook ad guys? What negative ideas do they have without actually having experienced what a Facebook ad guy does? I don't want to subject myself to that.
Those that probably experience Facebook ad guys would probably be either good experience or bad experience from agencies, right? could be,
Could be.
or just knowing that Facebook
It could
ads.
be, but in general, I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse, but amongst my friends, um, I am unique in the fact that the way I live my life is just completely different to how they live their lives. And sometimes they can't fathom what it is that I do. I think to this day, if you ask 10 of the people I hang out with what I do, they won't be able to give you a straight answer. That's fine. Um, their experience of Facebook ads is probably kind of what, even saying that, I doubt my friends actually use Facebook, but the experience of the general public of Facebook ads is kind of what I think about whenever I say I'm a Facebook ads guy. I'm not saying I'm letting that kind of like color how I label myself. I mean, I have to be happy with how I label myself and what I say I do. But thinking about the experience that they have, ooh, I'm a Facebook ads guy. It's like, hmm. So you're the one that puts all those weird ads on my newsfeed. It's like one of the many people, but yeah, but that's kind of what it is. That's just it's that boxing in, um, and if you look past the boxing in, it's just the way you get filed in people's mental cabinets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
What would you say I do?
You're a little bit like me. Right, you are a little bit like me. I know that you have worked in marketing departments. I know that you have experience building websites. I know you have experience with After Effects. Yeah. This is another thing as well. Right? Why the hell does it matter what I think? I don't mean that in like an aggressive, abrasive way. It's just if we're gonna go deep like that, it's like why does it matter what I think? Why does what you do have to be a factor in how I deal with you and how I interact with you?
Because you was talking about how your friends can't understand you, right?
Yeah. But I'm
Similar.
cool with that. Yeah, I'm
Similar
like
here.
I'm so cool with that. It's unreal. Like I'm so cool with it that my dad doesn't fully understand what I do. I think I've told the story. Like somebody asked my dad what does Tega do. It's like business stuff. That was a legit answer that he gave. So to me, I'm more than fine with that, right? But it kind of I think really, right, what this goes back to is the fact that most people just seem to be like cruising through life, whereby a question, right or wrong, I may be right, I'm probably wrong. A question like, what is it that you do, becomes something that you identify people by, right? Like, again, if we're going to take this into like the broader scope of things, um, you have like labor or conservative, you have man or woman or gender neutral pronouns, or you have Republicans or Democrats. What everybody seems to forget is like, we're all human beings. We all need to be able to live with each other. And the more we want to chase labels and apply labels to ourselves, the more we're putting barriers up that disconnect us even more.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
In my mind. So when people ask what I do, I'd rather give them a weird answer that forces them to dig rather than just give you like a generic answer for you to be like, ooh, that sounds cool. Because what the fuck was the point in, oh, am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What the fuck was the point in you asking what I do if you're just gonna be like, ooh, that's cool? You may as well not have even said anything. You say hi, I say hi. You say bye, I say bye. Yo, it's all good. You smile at me, I smile at you. It's like, what's the point in that small talk?
You like the deep talk.
It's not it's not so much the deep talk, right? I prefer to look at it as meaningful interactions.
Connection.
It doesn't even need to be a connection.
Yeah. Okay.
If we're gonna like do that, like there's this line that Edward Norton's character says in Fight Club. Everybody in my life is like a single serving thing, right? Single serving food, single serving friend. There's nothing wrong with that. Yo, there's like getting close to 8 billion people on the planet. Yes, you need relationships and what have you, but in chasing all of those relationships, we just seem to adopt this very, very stagnant worldview. But there are people who were born in America who've never left America. For them, the entire world is America, right? There are people in the Amazon somewhere that see a plane flying by and be like, "Oh my god, that's fucking magic." I'm a guy that just wants. I want to see the world. I want to experience everything, well, as much as I can of what the world has to offer,
Mm.
right? Whether that is location independence, whether that is financial independence, but on a super granular level, before I can ever get to experience all that, I have to interact with the people. If I go places and I meet people and I have this preconceived idea of what everybody is, or this is what a Facebook ad guy does, this is what a podcaster does, this is what a full stack marketer does, right? That kind of, in my opinion, that puts on the blinders during that interaction with that person. I don't care if I'm never going to see you again, but if we sit down or if we meet and have a conversation, I'd at least want to learn something from it rather than just like, yo, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. How you doing? Cool. Everything good? Yeah. How's your family? They're all good. Cool. How's work? Cool. Oh, what do you do for work? Oh, I do Facebook ads. Oh, one of those guys that put stuff on and you say, haha, yeah, one of those guys. All right, cool. Nice to meet you. Bye bye. It's like it's so shallow and empty. There's no meaning to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no meaning to it. Like, yes, there are going to be times when that has to happen, but if you decide what kind of life you want to lead, you have to actually take the extra steps to enjoy the little things in life. Especially the little things. With lockdown going on now, I think that's what people realize. Well, I would hope that that is what people realize. that this imaginary race that you've been running against fucking Sally from HR, it's not a race against Sally from HR. It's a race you're running against yourself, and you're rapidly running out of time because everybody gets one chance at life, right? So what ideas are you subscribing to? What interests are you taking up? Are those interests fulfilling you? And like, not fulfilling you in the sense of like it's putting money in your bank account, but is it making you a better person? Is it enhancing your experience of this thing called life? Maradona died today,
Mm.
right? Maradona died today. I don't know. Maybe it's because I lost my mom. But anytime somebody dies, I get real freaking retrospective. I try to put myself in their shoes and imagine like what those last moments of their life must have been like. I mean, I'm never gonna know. I Unless I develop some kind of machine that traps their soul or the traps the essence of their life and have a conversation with them after they've left their physical body. But I get real retrospective and just like try and put myself in that shoes and be like, if I ever got to that point, if I was at that point whereby I got health issues and like, yo, my clock is running out, would I be happy with the life that I've lived? Can I genuinely say that the people that I met and the people I interacted with, I left them better than I found them? If that happens, morbid as this may be, I can like hand on heart say yeah and be peaceful with whatever happens. And the reason I can say that with confidence is down to this thing I'm talking about. It's like, what the fuck are labels anyway? You're speaking to a human being. A human being is not a thing. A human being is an experience. So why do you want to demean that by putting them in a box just to make whatever social interaction that you are doing get past what you need to get past, or like just to be courteous? That's just my point of view.
I love that. I love the way you conveyed that, because I
Thank you.
feel the same. Like labels and it just puts people in boxes, and it's very a whole limitation in itself. Like we're human beings, we could do a lot of things. We don't have to be stuck to do one thing and experience just that one thing. Like you mentioned, people who stuck in one country forever, never being stepped out the country. They know what the other world looks like, what other countries look like, what other languages sound like. Like they don't get to experience the whole playing field of the world. And which is why I love, experiencing different cultures and learning about different backgrounds and diversity and inclusion and all sorts, right? And breaking out of limitations. I think I suppose that's why my business company came out with that name, right? Limit Break Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Was breaking out of limits and having that lifestyle. And it's just like, yeah, then I agree. Yeah, the whole label limitations. And also, when somebody dies like you, I also go through that that view and just be like, if I left Earth today or left the world today, what would it be a better place than would people have found my interaction with them meaningful? Would they remember me? What would they remember me for? Would that have a positive impact in their lives, like you mentioned?
But the funny thing, right, about all of this, it's not really something like that I thought about that much until I got into stoicism. Again, it comes back to control. Right? I cannot control what you think. I can influence it, but I can't fully control what you think. What I can control is how I interact with you. And it's up to you to interpret how that interaction kind of shapes what comes after. So, in saying, if I left the world today, like, would I have made a difference? I can say that because every time I speak to people, every time I interact with people, I don't want to say like I'm on my best behavior, but I try to put my best foot forward. I try to be open. I try to be understanding. I try to be honest. Um, so yeah.
in
I
deep
broke
thought now.
Jono's brain. So
I'm in deep thought now because I'm in that zone. Like, yeah, just deep in deep thought now. Yeah, I just wished, yeah, I'd rather have people that connected with me or at least met me or came across my content with Jono's being a decent guy, has had left a positive and meaningful experience.
again, right? You have no control of that.
Mm.
If that's the impression that you want people to take away from like interacting with you, then you have to be that. Right? It's this weird goes going back like philosophical stuff. Is this weird this idea of like be do have. Right? Everybody kind of goes through life doing that the other way. It's like have do be. It's like when I have this, I'll do this so I can be this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if you flip that on its head, you want to have something. For you to have that, you have to do what somebody who has that thing does. Right? For you to do that, you have to be that guy. Because that string kind of connects everything. So if you want, I'll give you an example. I'm going to talk in circles otherwise. My website was recently redesigned, and I'm sitting there racking my brain thinking, oh, I want to write content. I want to write content. I want to write content that like people are going to enjoy reading. Then I fell down this rabbit hole, as I always do, like keyword research, content idea research, how to put out content that people want to write. And I followed all the guides in all of that and created content. When it came time to posting it, I was just like, I don't want to do it. It's like that you spent all your time like learning all these new things, but not only did you learn it, you actually did some of the stuff, and you've got an end result from going through that process. And then my subconscious is like, yeah, I still don't want to do it. Like it doesn't sound like us. And then that little voice in my head just kept getting louder. It doesn't sound like us. It's freaking weird for me to be saying it doesn't sound like us, like you're freaking gremlin living in my head. But that was kind of how I felt. And then it wasn't until one day I don't even remember what it was. One day I had somebody ask a question, and I gave them an answer. And I realized I was able to answer the question and give them an answer that like I was happy with, and I felt they were happy with because of the way they responded. Because I actually experienced that. So a light bulb goes off in my head. It's like, why don't you just create content about stuff that you know? Right? So creating content about the stuff that I know is infinitely easier than trying to create content that people will read. And the reason it's easier is I can put all my knowledge and everything into an article or a video, a podcast, what have you, and then just put that out into the world because that is what I control to a certain degree, because there's manipulative things we can do with marketing and tech and ads and all that stuff. But to a certain degree, like you put your all into the article and put it out into the world. That then freed me from content research. That freed me from keyword research. That freed me from like keyword stuffing. It's like, yo, I'm just gonna put it out there. People like it, will like it, right? When you're starting a website from scratch, it's hard to know what to write about. I mean, you have an idea what you want to be known for, but it's hard to know what you write about because everybody's vying for the same attention. And because everybody's vying for the same attention, they're all kind of like just going off on these little tangents that has nothing to do with why they started it in the first place. So to kind of round that story off, all the content on my website right now is written from like stuff that I've experienced. And the way we actually create content is I pretend that somebody's paying me money to give their community, their tribe, training on everything that I know. So I plan it out, I structure it in a way that makes sense, I record it, I extract the video and I extract the audio. The audio goes to like a transcription service, and my writer just cleans it up so that it actually reads like an article. And that's it. That's how we create that. I don't have to think about keyword research. I don't have to do any of that stuff. The writer just creates that, right? And what's good is the I've kind of I don't want to say I've proven myself right, but the people consuming the content are actually coming back and saying the things that I expected them to say. Right. So one of the blog posts or articles on my website is how to start a podcast. And the first time I shared that with someone, just because of how it was created, the response they came back with was, I feel like I'm cheating you and I should be paying you money because to get the level of information that you've just given away for free, other people charge for that. And in my
Mhm.
mind, I'm like, hey, presto, that's it. That's what we want, right? Create something so complete. Don't hide the ball that when someone reads it, if they're genuinely struggling with that problem, that article can actually help them solve that problem. So that's become the ethos, if you will, of like my content creation, right? And I figure the more I do that, the more people read that when I promote it. When I promote it, I say, if I promote it, but when the promotion happens, the more people read that, then it becomes this like slippery slide down the no like trust mountain,
Mhm.
right? Because that openness and that completeness of information, which is within my control, says to them, it's like, yo, this guy knows what he's talking about. I've read this. It sounds helpful. It's on me to go do it now. Or if you don't want to do it, it's like, hey, I'll pay the guy that wrote about it to just do it for me.
Yeah, that's the thing with the whole online world now. Information is so freely available. Like it's down to the person who implements it, or if they implement it. Even like you say, like, do I want to spend 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours researching and planning on how to build a website, or would I just pay someone to build me a website? Who's gone through, who would go through all the stuff that already needs to be doing.
I think that's what service providers miss these days, right? Because everybody's kind of screaming, oh, my service is better, my service is this, my service is that. They tend to forget the people that they're trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yes, we're all competing, but there are ways that you can actually compete and set yourself apart without getting into like a bidding war. And I think that's kind of what I was trying to do. Because when that guy came back to me and said, I feel like I'm cheating you because if somebody else was doing this, I would have had to pay. I'm like, cool. That's the feeling I want you to have. And if I can engineer that feeling, then even better. I have the blueprint now, I feel, to actually engineer that feeling. So when it comes time to get clients, it's not going to be such a struggle. I've
Mm-hmm.
demonstrated my expertise with the content that I've put out. You know that I know what I'm talking about. It's now a case of can you afford me or not?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if they go, oh, that's too expensive or whatever, you go, okay, here's the
Yeah,
guide.
cool. Yeah,
Here's the guide. Do
yeah.
it yourself, and then let me know how you get on.
It's like, oh, yeah, that's too expensive. I totally understand, right? Because I have spent the last 10 years of my life actually building up the skill. I'm not going to devalue it. But what I will do is send you back to this really helpful article that I've written on how I do it. I can't guarantee you're going to get my results because you haven't got the 10 years of experience, but that's a good place to start instead of in the in the wilderness of information that is the internet.
Mm-hmm. Try out for yourself. Here's the blueprint. Implement it and let me know how you get on.
Yeah, but even then, right? I would still help somebody who's actually, well, I'm more likely to help somebody who has read the article
Mm-hmm.
and tried to do something about it. And they came back and said, I tried to do this, I ran into this issue. I'm more likely to help them because in helping them, it just makes my article even better. Because the problem they come back to me with is like, oh, thank you. That's a gap that I didn't see. Or that's like expert blindness that I didn't notice I had. I hadn't explained that clearly. So article gets updated, they get help. The one that really gets me is the people that come to you. You tell them a price, they're like, oh, that's too expensive. And then you send them the article, and then 5 minutes later, you see them in a Facebook group asking exactly the same question when you've just given them the answer and the solution to their question. So human beings are weird.
Fascinating, aren't they?
Weird.
I'm sure we could go on further.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go on further, I'm happy to go on further.
Yeah.
This is quite cool. Just sit down.
And just have a conversation. This is it. Like, there's no agenda or anything that it's a free flow conversation. Like, That's it.
Why does there have to be anything else?
No, that doesn't have to be. Like, that's the whole thing. That's the whole point of the late chat show. It's just like chat about business, life, games,
Exactly.
and just, see what comes out of it.
And we have had a good conversation.
Very quality.
What was it? What was it like being the only Chinese kid in your school or Asian kid in your school?
Well, for
You're
me,
not Chinese, are you? Where are you from?
well, yeah, it's Chinese because
Okay.
parents from Hong Kong, but I was born in England, so
Okay.
I've got the whole mixed heritage thing, or mixed blood thing, whatever, mixed country thing. But I don't know. First language wasn't English, so I was speaking Cantonese. English wasn't my first language, so then I had difficulty communicating with the kids, the teachers, and that became a barrier between me and interactions with the kids because they couldn't understand me and I couldn't understand them.
Yeah.
So therefore, I became the victim / the guy that gets bullied because I can communicate my language. So yeah, I grew up with that. And it was I think I didn't get out of bullying until I was 12, 13. Like throughout the whole childhood, like 10 years, 10, 11 years of being bullied, I think, in school.
Dang.
And that was until I took up martial arts when I was
Did you get
about
in a
12.
fight? Did you get in a fight? Did you kick someone's ass and then they're
I
like,
did.
"Yo."
That was
Tell me that story.
That was the turning point of my confidence.
Okay.
And also when the bullies became my best friends.
It's funny how that works, isn't
it? Like they were like my close friends, at least, like for that period. It's weird. Like they somehow was like, so Jono, you wasn't the small kid or the kid that didn't have a voice. I don't know. I didn't even know how. I kind of had that conversation with them. I was like, it's funny how you guys used to pick on me, but now like you guys hang around me, or I hang around you guys. And they were like, yeah, it's like they even said, well, the reason we wanted or picked on you was because we wanted you to interact more, because you was just very quiet.
So it's that thing that like little boys do.
Well, that was previous when you was at teenagers, right? You kind of
to get little girls' attention, they hit them.
Yeah, they kind of like,
why can't she tell I like her? Why can't she tell that I like her? It's like, because you're freaking hitting her, you idiot. Use your words. Sorry. Oh man. So
yes.
How did the fight come about? Sorry, I'm interested in fights.
The fight came about because I don't know, I just got really angry and pissed off. So then I just kind of like fought back.
Nice.
Because
did you knock anyone out?
I didn't knock them out. I kind of hit them, and then everyone was like, kind of thing, and it caused all that commotion and like that circle of people just like watching and go, can't believe you hit him, or kind of thing. Can't believe you stood back up to him, kind of thing. And I think because I stood back up against those guys, they had more respect for me. From what I saw anyway. And they even said that, like, yeah, I have more respect for you because you stood up for yourself. And maybe they were waiting for that. I don't know. I need to speak to
me. Human beings are weird.
But like,
what has to go on in a kid's life whereby for them to kind of get the interaction that they want rather than just saying it?
Yo, speak up.
They have to pick on you.
Yo, speak up, you're too quiet. But no, I pick on you so then until you retaliate.
Right? Like that, it's interesting. Maybe it's human nature. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a learned behavior. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's part of groupthink. Maybe it's not. But it's interesting. You
I
kind
think
of
they do
like,
it because they want to get attention from the class, right?
yeah, I'm sure there'll be like, I'm sure there'll be elements of that for sure, right?
But I also feel like it's a way that I created it for myself to step into my confidence and become the bigger guy that I am than the quiet kid in the corner. Because I was the shy, quiet kid that just minded my own business in a way. So I rarely got involved with activities. I rarely got involved with sports and social. Like that. So I feel like it's a way of stepping into my confidence. Yeah.
Right. So you're looking at it more from your point of view. I mean, that's what I would do anyway. But I guess what I'm trying to say is from the wider view of things, like from a societal view, why is where does that idea or that behavior come from? Because if you said to, I'm pretty sure if you went to that kid's parents and said, "Yo, your son is bullying me," they'll be like, "No, not my Johnny, not my Sally. They wouldn't do that." But you're the one experiencing the bullying. So where does it come from?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? Like, why do we have those kind of behaviors? I think it's because usually it's trying to get attention from the class, or at least be the center of attention. Like, you get those, right? That wants the attention on them, be the limelight in the classroom, be the showboaters.
Yeah, but isn't that a symptom of something else? Right? Because
The lack of approval at home,
there you go. To be
or valid,
chased, to be chasing, that's like
yeah, or the lack of
probably
validation
there's
at home.
probably a hole in your life that you're trying to fill.
Yeah, they're trying to fill something that they're lacking at home.
Yeah.
So there's the approval, there's the validation from their parents, and maybe even from teachers. Who knows?
Hmm.
And I feel like obviously I kind of know that now because I learned about it, but obviously back then when you was like 13, 14, you didn't even know any of this stuff.
Yeah, you're too busy being like, oh God, I wish these dickheads would leave me alone today.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
go one day
Or
and you're like, right, that's it.
which corridor shall I hide?
I'm about to kick your head off. Come at me, bro. Sorry.
Which corridor am I hiding into? Which classroom am I hiding into? So
Yeah.
how can I avoid them during lunch? Is there a path where I avoid them sitting at the park? Like that was going in my head back then.
I can
But no,
like you can definitely imagine it, especially like as a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid. You can definitely imagine. It's like, I just want to be left alone. Yes, I know. I'm on my own. Yeah, leave me alone. I don't speak the language. Big surprise there. What do you want? We won an award for being the most obvious person on the planet. I don't speak the language. Yeah, cool.
I didn't have an issue speaking language then, but I was just shy.
Even then, I'm shy. Yeah, leave me alone.
No, that's just school, isn't it? But
Yeah,
yeah.
but like stuff like that gets to me because I didn't really experience that. Right?
Mm.
I didn't really experience that. Like maybe I lucked out. Maybe the kids that went to the school I grew up in were brought up properly. I always felt like the first day, maybe even like so much as the first week, I was keeping to myself. Like I think that's natural though, as you figure out what's going on. I've just been removed from like a whole bunch of my friends in Nigeria, removed from the school, had to do an exam to get into this school. Let me figure out what's what. And like the first person that spoke to me was like PE class. Not really like spoke to me, but the first person that interacted with me outside was just like, "What's your name? Where you from? Do you wake up to see lions?" All right. So the first person that interacted with me was like PE class, and we just became friends. And then he introduced me to his friends, and then they introduced me to their friends, and that kind of gave me the confidence of like, "Hey, these guys ain't that bad. Say hi, talk to them."
So that was my experience growing up as the only Chinese kid. And then this was during secondary school, so there was like a few more Chinese kids came over from Hong Kong.
Cool.
As I can't remember what they're called. There's a term for those students.
Exchange students.
Exchange students. That's what's the one. So they came in as like they're older, but they're needs to do the GCSE or whatever to get the qualification to go into A levels or whatnot, or college. So they need to do the GCSE stuff, and then obviously their attention turned towards them instead. And like I was like part of the group that wasn't bullying anyone. It was like,
but when those guys came in, did you like interact with them? Did you try and make
yeah,
their experience better than yours?
We're good friends. We all, we looked out for each other.
Cool.
So that it kind of came up as if those guys were picking on anyone, then we would step in and be like, "Yo, leave it." Like there's that camaraderie, right? You kind of like you look out for each other and be like, "Nah, that's not happening here."
But stuff like that, I think like it stems from a lack of understanding. We talked earlier on about like people in America not leaving the country. That just leads to a whole bunch of closed-mindedness. In my opinion, it leads to a whole bunch of closed-mindedness, and whenever people are closed-minded, that's when you get stuff like racism and hate crime. It's all you know is like the world that you grew up in. You don't understand. I mean, you don't want to. You're either ignorant or you're willfully ignorant. The world is a big place and it's made up of different people with different cultures. And if you look at history, everybody has interacted with everybody, whether it's invading, whether it's fighting a war, whatever. Everybody has interacted with everybody. So this whole idea of like there's one there is one master race. It's like, mate, we're all part of the human race. There is no pecking order in the human race. Like ignorance may make you believe that there is, but there isn't. You got a heart, I've got a heart, you got two hands, I got two hands, you got 2 feet, you got 2 feet. My hair grows different, my skin grows different just because of where I was born. It doesn't make me less or more than you. But yeah.
Ick says human beings are fascinating creatures indeed.
Ick Lock. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes, that's my business partner there.
Oh, cool.
He is the other side of Limit Break Lifestyle. He does the leadership training stuff. He's more of the trainer and the speaker.
You're the behind the scenes.
And I'm the behind the scenes. Like there's the Dan and Tega. I'm you, and then he's kind of like Dan, but not as much.
Yeah, Dan is a unique beast.
Just that partnership. That's how it works in our partnership.
And that's in my opinion, that's a good thing, right? You need to have that kind of partnership. That's such a great word. You need to have that kind of partnership to actually kind of do stuff and go far. I think so.
Especially when you're subsidizing, complementing each other's skill sets.
Yeah. Because one of the first things that like Dan said to me when I was there working with him, it's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing. You're really good at what you do, but you're not ready to be a number one." I was a little bit younger then. Little bit of me wanted to take it as an insult, but sane minds prevailed. And then sitting down and reflecting on it, like, yeah, he makes a lot of sense. I'm an introvert. I could be a number one right now, but it's going to be such an uphill climb. I'll work with Dan, learn the skills to be a good number one, and be happy with being a number two for a while. And then the more I work with Dan, the more I realize I can be a number one who's a number two. I just need to find a number one who's going to just stand in front and do the peopling thing whenever I don't want to.
That makes a lot of sense for me, because that's exactly what we did. Like, he was the guy. He used to be the poster or the front guy of the business. So all the speaking, the first interaction videos is him. The speaking is all him.
But you're slowly stepping out from behind the scenes, aren't you?
Yes, and which is what I've been doing over the last year, right? Is doing more public speaking, doing more podcasting, doing more late chat shows, and again,
how are you finding stepping out? What is that transition like?
I find fun and more enjoyable. At first, it was uncomfortable, right? Because I was the quiet, shy kid. I didn't have that confidence to step into the big shoes, whatever it was. Like you said, like being the person you want to be.
Yeah.
Like that was the step I had to take. Was, if I want to be that person, then I need to just step in to those shoes and do the public speaking, do the podcasting, do the interviews, do the content creation, do the front of the business, do the consultations. It was like, yeah, just stepping into like the whole new territory. But now it just becomes natural for me to stand on stage and convey my message, communicate my content, whatever.
But that's life, though, isn't it? Right.
It is.
We have this ideal or idea, whichever one you want to choose. We have this ideal in our head that we're trying to work towards, but we're trying to work towards this ideal and get to this ideal, whatever the heck it is, without really thinking of who we have to be to actually achieve that. Right? The person that struggles to lose weight wants to look like a bikini model, but at the same time, they're not ready to pay the price that the bikini model pays. They still want to be having Just Eat and Deliveroo every night and not going to the gym, right? If you want to flip that and do the business stuff, people want to have the Tesla, or they want to be the Tesla, the Amazon of the industry, but they don't want to actually put themselves out there the way Jeff Bezos back in the day or Elon Musk back in the day put themselves out there. They don't want to take the risks that those guys took, because they see the risk as a chance of being hurt. This is something that humans do as well. We look at the negative, like, what's the saying? I don't even remember who said it. I think it was one of the life coaches, maybe like Tony Robbins, got it from somebody else. Whereby he was working with someone and he asked them to do something. 1 week went by, they didn't do it. 2 weeks went by, they didn't do it. And then when he called them up on it, it's like, why didn't you do it? And the person's like, oh, what if I fail? And then he kind of spun the table around on them and, well, what if you succeed?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So people don't tend to look at that side of it. They just aren't, again, human beings and our minds being weird. We all just would be almost like it's not almost. We definitely do default to like the negative side of stuff, the negative results and negative expectations. Or if I put myself out there, someone would tell me I got a wonky hairline, or someone would tell me my voice sounds funny, or someone would tell me my ear is too big and my nose is too big and I don't want to deal with that. And we don't tend to think, oh, what if people actually like what I have to say? What if somebody actually takes what I do and uses that to get a result? What then?
I think it's really down to how their life experience was growing up and taking rejections and handling risk. Like for me, like I didn't step into doing speaking or step into the limelight because I had lacked the confidence / I was probably the kid that I was still sitting in as the kid that got bullied during childhood. that didn't want to be seen, didn't want to be visible, didn't want to interact, didn't want to socialize. And so therefore I just stayed in the shadows as the number two, right? Someone who just did backhand scenes and all that. But also during my working life, like as I graduated, again, I was working with mentors who was in the limelight, but I was doing all the digital marketing stuff. So I was behind the scenes. I was doing the AV, all the events, all the lighting and visuals and music, still behind the scenes.
So you basically trapped yourself in your comfort zone.
I trapped myself in the comfort zone. So digital marketing was like an area for me to be comfortable because I didn't have to interact with people. I didn't have to interact with clients. I didn't have to do all the front end stuff, the communications, the public speaking. And yeah, I was seriously hiding behind the scenes from connection. And until I figured that out, obviously during my little self-discovery journey, whatever you want to call it, or open to consciousness or whatever, right? Whatever that saying is. Until I was more realized about my own behaviors and my shadow work, my shadow self, and all the self-sabotaging behaviors that I did and why I did those, was like, that all makes sense now. Why I behaved the way I did, how I interacted and all those, and it made more sense. But when I saw myself in the, whatever you want to call it, the greater human being, the universe, whatever, connecting to yourself, or the you, the bigger you in you, the greatness, or whatever you want to call it, I was standing on stage in front of thousands of people. Like, that's how I saw myself in that meditation state. And I was just like, that's when I freaked myself out. And I was like, holy crap, like, that's where I will probably end up.
Is that a Tony Robbins thing? Like the
it wasn't it was a meditation thing I did during my self-awareness training.
Cool.
And it was like a process of connecting to your greatness or your universe or to your God, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it was like connecting to my genius. And the genius within me was like someone who was standing on stage, who was speaking and doing whatever was you do on the stage. And I suppose spreading that inspirational message, which is why I came up with inspiration, influence, and impact. Like, I live by those values and those terms. And now I'm being
influence and impact. That's super cool.
And that's where I be that person that, like you mentioned, be that person you want to be.
Yeah.
So now it's just getting out of my own way. Like, if public speaking comes, I'll be like, yeah, I'm all over it. Go on stage, yeah, I'm all over it. Interview on a podcast, yeah, I'm all over it. Like, I would do it. Because nice. I found the being the me is more fun than hiding in the shadows.
So, question for you. Would you say that you are building you and you're like a constant work in progress? Or is there like an end goal? Because you have this idea of ultimate you, if you will. Dude speaking and like standing on stage in front of 5,000 people and speaking. What happens when you get there?
I think I carry on building and growing. Growth is like my number one value. I don't think it'll stop there.
Oh, I hear that.
At that moment, that was the person I needed to become. And I suppose the more I become that person, the more I find what else is out there by being that person. Like connecting with, opening up new opportunities, connecting with other people, similar people who's doing similar stuff. And until I become that person, I don't think I get to reach those people. Or at least connect with like-minded individuals, right?
I got you. It's kind of, it's a little bit different to how I look at it.
How are you looking at it?
I think the way I look at it is like it's a very, very selfish endeavor. I can't help people if I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I can't encourage change. That's probably the wrong choice of words. I can't encourage change if I don't embody change.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like this idea of influence by being. And
Mm-hmm.
everything I do is almost influenced by being. My values are like spice, simplicity, patience, integrity, compassion, and experiences. For me, that's what I chase, which is the selfish side of it, right? Because I'm chasing it for me. I'm not really chasing it for anybody else. Other people just get to benefit because those are the values choose. I choose to live by. So yeah, it's just interesting because like yours is more outwards and mine is more inward.
Well, those three were like the highlighted ones, but like integrity is still part of mine. Like
Yeah,
doing
like
the right thing.
I know. Like those would be the top three, right? Those would be the top three. There's other things you focus on. Those would be the top three. Mine is just spice. It's spice, but mine is just is spice. It's like the guiding principle in everything. But yeah.
Well, I've always seen it as if I want to see change, then I've got to be the change.
I'm staring at the man in the mirror. Sorry. I think when I was in your podcast, I sang as well. But those words do ring true. If you want to inspire change, you need to be the change. If you go back to like when you were being bullied, to inspire the change, you stepped in whenever the new students were being bullied. Like it's the same thing in life. Like what kind of person would you be? Like how would you look at yourself in the mirror if you know what a terrible place that was and you saw somebody else going through that? You didn't step in, you didn't stop and be like, hey, come on. That's not what you want to do. Why are you doing that? And then if he didn't listen, you freaking jumped up and kicked him in the head. I know karate.
Well, that's why I suppose I stand up so much against bullying, and when I do see it on the news, I get so riled up. That's why I share the posts that I do and stuff. But
What do you do outside of sharing the post? Because this is let's not dig at you, by the way. This is
what do I do behind the? That's a really good question. So I am looking at other anti-bullying organizations at the moment that I'm looking to be a part of. And that was the initial part that I was going to do. Before I became a trustee for a charity that helped kids with poverty and learning difficulties. Because what that charity does is creating new play or learning through play. So they help kids with learning difficulties through play activities and play sessions. And so what they're doing is creating of leaders. That's how I see it. And so that was one. And then the second one was more of a personal experience, was helping the rough sleepers and homeless. And although I never personally, become homeless or had any issues with drug and alcohol substance abuse, I experienced what it was like helping them in London when I volunteered with the Yes Group to do the Christmas hampers. There was this one section where a group of the team leader, one of the group team leaders, went out to London to hand out goodie bags. Like it had socks, it had toothbrush, it had water, it had sanitary stuff, and like we was taking those bags into the streets of London, and handing them out to the rough sleepers during Christmas. And not just handing them out, but actually sat with them and chatted for like 5-10 minutes to, understand how they got there, what was going through their, how did they end up there, and what was their story like. And that was a very humbling experience that I've ever had. And so that inspired me to become a board trustee for another organization that did support drug and alcohol abuse and rough sleepers. The next one would be anti-bullying organization, I think.
Right. So that is super cool. And the reason I asked that question is because more and more it kind of seems like causes like that are being hijacked for clout on social media.
Mm-hmm.
More and more. Whether you want to look at what people did for like Blackout Tuesday, whether you want to look at what people did for the natural disasters in the Philippines, whether you want to look at what people did for the bombing in Libya. Not bombing, sorry, the explosion. The explosion wasn't a bombing. Like it's become a vehicle, like for both on both sides of the aisle, for like both the platforms, the social platforms, and the users of the social platforms, for them to kind of like pat themselves on the back without really doing anything of note. Yeah, you put a badge in your profile picture, but what are you doing outside of that? In 7 days, you're taking that badge off. Yes, for one day, you change your IG thing to like a black picture. But what are you doing outside of that? What conversations are you having outside of that? That's again, this kind of just ties back to what we said. Like, gosh, I've been on for nearly 2 hours. It ties back to what I said about having those meaningful connections,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because everything has gotten to this place where it's all being done on the surface level.
Yeah.
To blame people, to blame individuals is wrong. It's just as a society, this is kind of where we have gone, whereby someone is nice to you, you don't trust them, right? Because maybe you went on holiday one day and some kid smiled at you, and because they were smiling at you, you were sitting there and talking to them, and you got pickpocketed, and then you decide from that day on, it's like, yeah, that's it. I'm not smiling at anybody on the street anymore, right? But we've kind of ended up in this place whereby niceness, politeness has become something to be suspicious of. It's like, what kind of freaking life is that?
It's like there's a hidden agenda behind being kind and compassionate.
Yeah. But like again, okay, so the field that we're in, everybody talks about give value, give value, give value. I've heard it so many times and I get the idea of it, but the implementation of it leaves so much to be desired because somebody giving value has become this stealth way that they're trying to get into your inbox and sell you something. Like, do you want to get on a call and see how I can help you like make 6 figures in the next 6 minutes? Like, no, mate, no. Right? Share what you're going to share. And if people deem it valuable, you don't decide what's valuable. If people deem it valuable, they will reach out to you, they will let you know. Thank you. I enjoyed reading that. Thank you. I get what you're saying, but it doesn't apply to me. But I appreciate the effort you put into it. Yeah, that's why I asked that question. Sorry, went down that weird rabbit hole.
That's cool. No, that's an awesome question. Like, yeah, there's so much of that stuff that I don't even talk about the charity side in that way because I don't feel like I need to.
Precise, oh, dude. You and I are on the same page.
I don't feel like I need to. Like, yeah. Even like putting on my profile as a board trustee was like
I don't do any of that stuff. Not because
that's why I was like, do I need to do that? Like, yeah. I don't think I need to.
My thinking is like, yo, it's none of your business. It's a cause that is like near and dear to me. Like, I hold it close to my heart because I do that. It's like, you don't need to know what I'm doing. You really don't. It doesn't benefit you in any way. I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I'm doing that because I want to do it. I'm doing that because I feel this is how I can give back.
Mm.
I don't need you to like that you saw me give a homeless man food. Like,
Yeah.
what? How does that add value to your day?
Yeah,
Right?
that's what like I don't want to either.
Other than the little dopamine spike you get from either clicking like or hovering over the button to get the little emoji faces to put the heart or the hug emojis, like it does nothing to you or for you. Well, it does nothing for you. It may make you think about supporting something that's dear to you, but in this day and age, the chances of that happening are slim to none because after you get your little dopamine hit, you move on. Well, you scroll on because that's become the nom de guerre. Scroll on. Ooh, Tega did something nice. Cool. Let me like it so Tega knows that I like it. Scroll on. Ooh, Jono's done something nice. Let me like it so Jono knows that I like it. Scroll on. Some random person has just done something nice. There you go. Get a like. You get a like. You get a like. He gets a like. She gets a like. They get a like. Everybody gets likes. Right. I'm starting to ramble. And
Cool.
we've been on for nearly 2 hours. I have
Yeah, I kind of saw that as well. I was like, oh, we have nearly been on for nearly 2 hours.
yeah.
But no,
I have,
it's been quality having you on, bro, and quality conversations as always.
excellent. We only
So I
chatted for an hour.
appreciate that, and I appreciate your wisdom and your time that you
Wisdom.
always.
My man says what I'm doing is wisdom. Sorry, I don't class it as wisdom.
I know you don't class as wisdom, but I do. Like I know you shared a lot of gold this conversation. Whether people notice it or not, I don't know. It's down to their awareness, down to their perception, it's down to how they perceive it. But for me, and to me anyway, I enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to have you on a live show.
And that is the highest compliment that you can pay me, and it is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, bro.
Right, dude. Have a good one. I'm sure I'll
You
see
too.
you in the different groups that we're in. I may even give you a like or a hug emoji. You never know. You never
Awesome. And for those that are watching, if you guys have any questions for Tega, feel free to drop them by. If not, Friday night's Love and Relationship Late Chat Show is also on at 9:30 p.m. the same time. And make sure to look out for that one where Iklok and Dilara Titek will be my special guests. So see you all then. Peace out for now.
Thanks for having me, dude. Bye.
Thanks.